Hello, I'm Coach Susan Rose, and I want to welcome you to the 2019 Business Planning Webinar. Today, you've decided that the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. You know, I love this quote by Anais Nin. As a business owner and coach, I've used and worked with various types of business plans over the last 30 plus years. The format doesn't matter. The level of intricacy is irrelevant. All in all, the degree of your plan's success really depends just on three factors. One, is it in some type of written format as opposed to just remaining in your head? Two, is it read and reviewed consistently for accountability? And three, is it revisited, adjusted, and tweaked accordingly? After all, what is the purpose of your business plan? Your business plan is your GPS. It's your blueprint, your navigation system that tells you where you are going and specifically how you intend to get there. I've designed this program with three expectations in mind. First, we're going to review and analyze our 2018 results. Second, we're going to guide you through the key components of your 2019 plan. And third, we'll encourage and expect you to spend time alone afterwards, creating, revising, and tweaking this plan. Before we can prepare for our new destination, in other words, 2019, it's important to review and analyze where we are now. With that in mind, there are 5 questions you'll want to think about and answer as honestly as you can. So let's now refer to page 1 of your worksheets. I'll quickly read the statement or question and give you a minute to write your response. Now, don't worry if you run out of time, just finish up at the conclusion of the webinar or as you may listen to the replay. So here we go. Identify 2 to 3 major accomplishments since January. So for some of you, it might be the fact that you've finally earned $500,000, or maybe you've taken a $10 million listing. I'm going to give you a few more seconds to wrap that up. I hope you're writing. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. Name 2 January. You know, in talking to my one-on-one clients, here's an example of some of their insights or lessons. In fact, one of them is from me, which is everything takes longer than you expect. A few other insights that clients this year have had is realizing the value of signing a buyer up on a buyer rep agreement. I'm going to give you a few more seconds to write down your insights or lessons since January. And if you have more than 3, that's fine. Let's move on to question number 3. What do I need to let go of that no longer serves me? That was one that really stumped a lot of my one-on-ones, and yet several other people had numerous habits or things that they need to let go of. Again, one of them is no longer thinking that buyers were going to remain loyal, and that they gave up not using the buyer-broker agreement, meaning that they were going to incorporate that in every transaction that they had now with a buyer. So that would be one idea. Let's move on to the next question. Number 4, what's my personal definition of success? Now, you may ask me, what do I mean by that? And that I ask you because everybody has a different definition of success. For me, my definition is living a life of loving, learning, serving, and experiencing. And I'm very clear that the income, the money that I earn, is used to support and fund my successful life. But if we don't have a definition of success, then how do you know if you've achieved success, right? And my definition of success could be completely different than yours. So this may take a while, but I do want you to give a lot of thought to what is your definition of success? What does it look like to you? How are you going to know that you've got it if you aren't able to identify it and define it? Let me give you a few more seconds to kind of cogitate on that most important question. And finally, our 5th question is, what are the consequences if I don't succeed? So in other words, I've written my definition, I've outlined and got clear my definition of success. But now, what's the consequence if I don't succeed? And this is a really important question, and it's really critical. We're going to come back to that. So write in what's going to happen if you don't succeed. Okay, let's move on. And I want to move on to your page number 2 in your handouts and take you through my business now. And this is a wheel that maybe some of you have seen in the past. It's something I really like using. I use it every year in business planning. And the whole idea is to be able to take a snapshot of the entire year, not where you are necessarily today if you're having a bad day, but where you are in relation to the whole year, and compare month after month or quarter over quarter, year over year to see how bumpy your ride is. So at the top of the form, you're going to see the month. The month that we're in right now is December, and the year is 2018. And we're going to start in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll see that there are 8 pie slices, each with a different label. And the whole idea is that at the center is 0, the far perimeter is 10, and you may be somewhere in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 on those concentric circles there. What I want you to do is to identify your degree of satisfaction. How happy you are you with each of the categories that we're going to be looking at. So for example, let's start with lead generation. Do you call past clients? Do you follow up with sphere of influence? Are you working social networking? Are you lead generating? Are you looking for leads? So I want you to put a dot in the center there to whatever degree you actually do lead generation. Ultimately, your pie or your wheel may look something like this. Okay, so you're just going to put dots. Let's go to the next one. and look at our satisfaction with conversion and database management. Move on to listing presentation. Do you have a consultation? Do you have a marketing plan? How good are you with objection handling? Do you know how to close for signatures? And then the same thing with your buyer presentation. Put your dot in there. Let's move on to time management. Do you work from a schedule, or does everybody else manage your time? How about systems? Do you have systems, processes, procedures? Do you use checklists? Or do you reinvent the wheel every time there's something new to be done? Or do you rely on your mind to remember? And then let's move on to skills. How skillful are you in negotiation, your scripts and dialogues, the escrow process? And then finally, money management. Are you watching your expenses? Are you holding your money accountable? Okay, so after you have all of your dots, I want you to connect them, and I want you to take a look and see how bumpy that ride is. All right, because the smoother your ride, just like in a car, the less drag you get, the more efficient you are. And that's how we want your business to be. So what I do want you to do is now take a look at your wheel, and I want you to circle the areas that have the deepest indentation, because those are going to be the areas that you're going to spend a lot of time focusing on as we go into 2019. As you just finished looking at your 2018, specifically, what are the consequences if you don't succeed? This last question I mentioned was so critical because Nietzsche really understood that, quote, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow," unquote. And we know that well-laid plans always can go awry, and they're just distractions and life's challenges that get in the way. See, by getting and staying in touch with our why, we have a much better chance to maintain the fortitude necessary to stay the course of our original intentions. So here are an example of some youngsters, little boys in Thailand, having to navigate a rough bridge in order just to get to school. Look at that. So I want to ask you, what hardships will you endure to get what you want? That's exactly what Nietzsche's talking about. Okay, so let's now create our personal and growth plan. And I want you to turn to page 3 of your worksheets. So here you'll be writing down plans involving personal health, family goals, and ways to improve your love, relationship, or spiritual connections. You'll notice that to the right of each action is a deadline. See, goals have to be SMART, S-M-A-R-T. It's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time sensitive. Now, not all goals need to have an entire year to be accomplished. Okay, so for example, if you were to write down that you want to take a ski vacation to Aspen, you might want to write a specific deadline of March 30th. Of course, you're not going to take a ski vacation in June. Whereas a goal to lose 50 pounds may have a deadline of December 31st. I've also given a few extra tips here. So for example, create a 2019 master schedule. Block out all your family events. vacations, days off, the holidays. Even go so far as to take an hour or so and schedule next year's medical and dental appointments. I've given you room for 10 action items. You don't need to have all 10. You can certainly have 12 or 15. But the purpose of writing it down is that you are creating the blueprint with a deadline so that you can actually put it on a calendar and know where you are shooting and when you are shooting for. Okay, let's move on to your financial plan or wealth plan. Again, also on page 3. So here's where you're going to address your income, savings, and investment goals. Now, I want you to be specific with the amounts. Okay, so it's not good enough just to say fund 401k by January 31st. No, I want it to be specific, like deposit $25,000 into 401k by, say, April 15th, or save $100,000 for a duplex by September 30th. Become fiscally responsible by making sure you've set up a retirement account. It's important to pay your taxes on time. Even want to encourage you to set up personal and business bookkeeping systems on either, say, Quicken or QuickBooks. Again, at the bottom there, I've offered a few extra tips. So put in the calendar when taxes are due. Set up and review your monthly business expenses. It's very important that we learn to hold our money accountable. Now, you may not have 10 financial plans or parts of your financial plan. That's okay. Do 2, 3, or 4. So, if you'll bear with me, I want to digress quickly to review with you the success equation as we now start to work on the business component of our plan. So this equation is your North Star as you progress through the year. See, this success equation keeps you grounded, on track, and advancing towards your goals. So basically, here's what the success equation says. S squared and her sister, which is S, the money sign, consists of having a plan, which we're creating now, adding an incredible can-do attitude, along with aligned action, and adding a tremendous amount of perseverance, meaning that piece of overcoming obstacles and not quitting. Minimized. Now I'm saying minimized with the division sign here, not eliminated, because we can never completely eliminate D, distractions. Distractions are just part of life. So again, we're never going to eliminate them, but we certainly can learn to minimize them. And what we do want to eliminate is the resistance. So what's resistance? Resistance is ourselves getting in our own way, stumbling over our own 2 feet. Okay? It's knowing what we need to do, when we need to do it, and just not doing it. So the success equation, success, your definition of success, that is what we just wrote on page 1, and the money associated with being successful is achieved by having a plan, adding an incredible can-do attitude with aligned action, adding a tremendous amount of perseverance, minimizing as many distractions as we can, and ultimately eliminating resistance. If you follow this success equation, you can't help but being successful. So again, let this be the North Star so that at any time that you are down or in a slump and or even having tremendous success, look at the success equation and identify those areas that you are attributing either the great success or maybe the slump to. Okay, now we're going to tackle the third and the fourth components of our plan, which is lead generation and marketing. And because they are integral to one another, I want to link them together. So for your convenience, we've created a really nifty lead generation marketing outline that we're going to be completing. So hold on to that, because by way of introduction, I want to get clear about the business of real estate sales. And the business of real estate sales is exemplified in this sales funnel. So let's review the sales funnel if you don't know it or if you've seen it before. Here's the thing, guys. We need to keep making a lot of contacts. Why? Because it takes lots of contacts to give us a certain amount of leads. We need a certain amount of leads in order to get appointments, because not every lead turns into an appointment. What do I mean by an appointment? I mean a face-to-face with a buyer or a seller who can agree to do business with us. Now, every appointment that we go on, are we going to get a signed contract, meaning a buyer-broker agreement or a listing agreement? Well, sadly, the answer is no. So we have to go on many appointments to get a certain number of contracts signed. Lastly, we need contracts before we're ever going to get closings or get paid. And sadly, additionally, we need several contracts in escrow because not all of them close. So let's review that. We need lots of contacts so that we have lots of leads in order to set many appointments. We need many appointments to get a handful of contracts. And those contracts, we need many of those in order to get to the closings and in order to actually have cash coming at the end of the sales funnel. Now, along the way, from contact to lead to appointments to contracts to the actual closing, we should be asking and getting referrals. And that's the essence of the business of real estate. Do not think it's a 1-to-1-to-1-to-1-to-1 ratio. We know that it's not. So we have to master the sales funnel. Now, I'd like to have you think of your lead generation plan as a four-legged table. And why do I say four-legged? Because the four-legged image is important to have diversification in order to maintain stability. So I suggest that agents all have 3 specific legs, and pretty much they're all the same. Option number 4 being very personal, and it's your choice. So everybody's first leg would be past clients and sphere of influence. A second leg would include your farm, and this could be either or and or both a geographical farm or a social farm. Leg number 3 has to be internet related or something digital, all right? And that means all social media platforms as well as digital types of communications, such as email blasts or texts, those kinds of things. Leg number 4, as I mentioned, we have options for you. You get to choose based on your level of interest. So some people really like and are working very well expired listings or for sale by owners. Some people do an exceptional job with open houses. Some agents are pursuing absentee owners, probates, or REOs, commonly known as real estate owned or foreclosures. Okay, now before we go any further, let's identify the 4 planning principles of our marketing plan. Because remember, I just said, we're going to be combining our lead generation with our marketing plan. So here are the 4 principles about marketing that we have to remember specifically for real estate. First, we have to collect and organize our people, our tribe, commonly known as your contacts. You guys, these have to live in one location in some kind of database. Number 2, we have to identify and determine how we're going to communicate with them. It could be through email, it could be phone calls, it could be through social media, it could be through events. But number 2, determine how we're going to communicate with them. Number 3, we're going to establish those specific actions that we're going to take and the time frame that we're going to do it. Because we don't have to do all of it in the same week or the same month. It can be spread out over the month or over the quarter or over the entire year. And lastly, very important, we have to track weekly and we have to monitor our monthly progress. Okay, so I want you to take a look at your lead generation marketing outline. It's page 4 in your worksheets. Let's take a look at that. It's a really nifty tool, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to print 12 copies, 1 for each month of the year. Okay? Now, if you look at this, and we're going to be referring to our slides as well, if you look at this, we're going to assume that all of you are agreeing to the 3 legs that I've just outlined, so that we've written those in the form for you. For example, leg number 1, past clients and sphere of influence. Leg number 2, farm. Leg number 3, digital. And for our example here for purposes, we're going to be talking leg number 4, expireds and for sale by owners. Okay. So the question is, how do we apply marketing to our lead generation plan? So let's take a look here. You're going to be wanting to be completing your lead gen marketing outline similarly to these next 2 slides. So let me take you through this. At the very top of the form, you're going to see the month. I'm projecting that this is going to be January, and we have a theme. The theme for January, specifically, for our example, is New Year, New You. And let's look at leg 1, past client sphere of influence. Now, with each leg, it's very important that we get clear on what it is that that we are attempting to accomplish with that specific leg. So with leg 1, past clients and sphere, the goal is direct communication with our top leads and what I call the quote-unquote core 20. The core 20 is the best of the best people that you've done business with, or the best people that you want to do business with. And I call it core 20. 20 is sort of arbitrary. You may not have 20 people, you may have 10, maybe you have 8, or maybe you have 25. But what it is not is the top 100. All right? It's a core group of close people. So, for example, the action, and here we've assigned 4 actions for the month of January, just specifically related to past clients and Sphere. So this agent is going to host a New Year's brunch. When are they going to do that? They're planning that for the first week of January. When that's done, they're going to put a check mark in completed. The other thing they're going to do on week 3 of January is they're going to send out a copy of all of their closing statements for last year's past clients, buyers and sellers that they worked with. They're going to get a copy of the closing statement and send it to each of those clients with a letter. Dear client, loved working with you last year. Please be sure and give the copy of this information to your tax preparer because they're going to find valuable information here as they prepare your taxes. Good touch, right? As soon as they do that, then that is going to be completed and checked off. They're also going to call their core 20. So again, 20 people, 25 people, 15 people. If you have 30 people, 30 days in the month, it's less than 1 person a day that you call, wish them a happy new year, touch base with them. Okay? Item number 4 that they're going to do, in week 4 of January, they're going to mail a newsletter to their sphere of influence, recapping last year's sales statistics. All right? And again, if you look at the farm, what is the farm objective? To obtain listings and buyers. Okay, so what's an action item? They're going to make an item of value to take door knocking. When are they going to do that? Week 1, when it's done and completed. The next step, they're actually going to go door knock their geographic farm. Well, they're not going to get the whole farm done in a week. So what they would do is determine how many doors each week they're going to be knocking in order to do a complete rotation that month. As soon as that's done, they cross it off as a weekly. Completed. They're going to call 1/3 of all of the contacts in their farm, okay, or their farm could be geographic or sphere. Let's say it was a sphere farm. They're going to call 1/3 of all of their contacts so that every quarter, each of those sphere contacts is called. Once that's done, they hit through the completed box. And maybe they're going to schedule 2 open houses. Okay? Digital. What's the goal of digital? Expand exposure and name recognition. All right? So here's some ideas. Again, still using January, the theme, New Year, New You. Hire somebody to build a personal site. Post on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And what are you going to post? You're going to post things that are related to the theme, New Year, New You. How to lose 5 pounds this month. How to start eating more healthy. Something to that regard. Let's skip down to leg number 4, expireds. And again, what is the goal of working with these expireds? The goal is to take a listing within 30 days. Again, you can read the action items. You can see when it's to be done. The idea is as soon as it's completed, you put a check mark. Okay? Now, for more ideas, take a look at page number 5 of your worksheet. So these worksheets, 5 and 6, these are going to give you other examples of, for example, monthly themes that you could use with the associated action items. Now, it's really important, again, to be sure to identify when you're going to do it. It can be a specific, when can be a specific date, or as seen in these examples, it could be a general week of the month. Once it's completed, check it off. All right? That's what I mean by monitoring and making sure that you cross off and hold yourself accountable to your plan. So again, these are just some examples. Of course, they're just our examples. I have on page number 6 stolen some great ideas from current clients and past clients, all for your use. And, you know, there's so many other great ideas that you can be using, and you're only limited by your imagination. So remember, though, the purpose of this lead generation and marketing plan: to connect and convert people's needs into business or a referral. It is not for you to become a neighborhood event planner. All right? And so I really want to stress, don't lose sight of the intention, okay, which is connection to conversion. This is how we earn our commissions. Okay, lastly, we must have an accountability plan, okay, because accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. And to help hold you accountable and for additional skills training, we really want to encourage you to subscribe to our monthly Spark program. So, for joining us today, we're offering you 50% off the first month of our program, which is only $14.95. So if you're interested, for more information, just visit the site as we've got written above, SusanRoseCoaching.com/spark. And that concludes our business planning session today. We've outlined and given you clear direction on how to create it. Now, it's up to you to actually do it and actually use it. Because if you do, I can assure you that 2019, okay, is going to be your best year ever. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments. We look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye for now.